Deku rushes to a hold of 8 one-pointers and rips out their circuits, making them fritz out for a few seconds before cutting off. That's when a few seconds later all of the exam takers immediately rush in and just see Deku punching and ripping apart the robot with his bare hands. Deku, 25 points. Deku watches as a kid with a giant belt with a huge crystal in the middle holds his stomach in pain after firing at 4 one-pointers. Deku runs up to the robot that's about to sneak up on him and drop kicks it before punching right through its metal frame and rips out the wires inside of its head. Deku, what's your back? Deku watches as flames hit a group of 2-pointers, then the flames immediately freeze them solid. Deku sees big chill but red, orange and yellow passing through some robots, freezing them solid. Deku continues rushing around defeating them. As soon as it gets to the halfway point, Deku stops in an alleyway and pulls it out his phone. We cut to the faculty area where they're watching this. Nezu, that kid has ranked up 68 villain points and 72 rescue points and it's only the halfway mark. Aizawa, and he hasn't seemed to use his quirk or whatever he's got since the only thing that shows on his student file is quirkless, but on his exam sheet where we ask for his quirk he just draw the middle finger. Hound dog. He seems to be pacing himself well, just like Hey Examen 0639 Marinette Dupancheng and 1594 Issei Hyodo. They seem to be pacing themselves well. If I remember correctly, those three actually were sat next to each other at the beginning. Robin. The three of them are like siblings, inseparable. Aizawa. What roles did they play with each other if they were a team? Cyborg. Izuku Midoriya is the brains and strategist. He plans for at least 3 different contingencies before he even thinks about making a move on anything. Issei Hyodo is the muscles. He's kinda stupid and a little bit of a perfect, but he has a heart of gold and knows when it's time to get serious, and it doesn't help he's got a creature sealed inside of him that also helps with his magic control. Then we have Marinette Dupancheng. She's practically a mix of both, except she follows orders. She is smart and she doesn't like people who fought their powers or anyone's even slightly cocky. Separated, they're alright, trust me, we struggled to take him down if it's one of them versus at least 2 of us. 44 free of them work together. They're practically unstoppable, and unlike most people these days they actually practice mainly quirkless hand-to-hand combat. Raven. By hand-to-hand combat you mean street fight rules. Midnight. Wait, they fight dirty like no hold backs, pull hair, kick between the legs. All of the UA faculty see the Teen Titans nod. That's when they all notice Deku stopped fighting and pulls out his phone. Cyborg taps into the call. At the same time Marinette and Issei head into the alleyways closest to them and pull out the phones and answer. The voices echo on the speakers so they can all hear their conversation. Deku, we're at halftime. I think we're all doing good when it comes to points if you follow my strategy. Marinette. Issei. Spend the first half protecting people and attacking small groups and pacing ourselves well. If that's what you mean then yes. Deku. Good. Right, we're at halfway. We have around 20 minutes left. At 10 minutes we'll use our abilities and show them why you don't mess with Team Ben 10. Issei. I'm sitting I comfortable 48 villain points. I have saved around 20 people. Marinette. 50 villain points, 21 saved. Deku. 68 villain points and 30 people saved. I think we should be comfortable to lay low for a little while. We don't want to ruin their chances of getting in. When we get to the 5-minute mark, no holding back, wrap it up. Because if this was a real situation but last of 5 minutes of a battle could decide the winning and losing side, we all know that, don't we? The UA faculty's eyes widen. Aizawa looks at the screens with an impressed look, something that he never really shows. They continued to talk with the UA faculty, watching other students for a little bit. As soon as the 5-minute mark hits, look around begins to shake as a giant robot the same size as Wavy appears from under the cities, cracking up the buildings in concrete and steamrolling down. Issei. Things the size of way big. Marinette. So how we going to deal with this? All 3 of them stand straight in the line of the 0-pointer with a smile on their face. The UA faculty leans forward in their seats, getting ready for the show. Deku takes off his hoodie and hangs it on a piece of metal sticking out of a pile of rubble. Deku presses a button, popping up the Omnitrix core. Marinette stretches before putting her hand on her necklace. Issei stands there with both hands crossed, then he raises his left arm as the boosted gear appears. Deku. You know what time it is. Marinette. Issei. Of course we do. Deku. Marinette. Issei. It's hero time. Deku slums his hand on the Omnitrix call, turning into a tall white creature resembling a sumo wrestler's build with giant arms almost the length of the entire body and black claws for the fingers and toes. Black. Its legs are black as well as a strip going from the bottom of its mouth straight to its legs. It has 2 yellow circles sticking out on both sides of its leg. It has the same circles on the back of its hands, and on its shoulders a yellow shell covers its back. Its eyes are placed just above its mouth, close to the top of its head. Deku. Cannonbolt. Marinette closes her necklace as her body starts to float. Her eyes glow red. Issei get covered in a strong dragon armor, slightly humanoid in shape. Two crimson red wings are placed on his back as he flies in the air and punches the zero-pointer, caving, getting its entire head inwards before it blows up. Marinette fires two powerful lasers from her eyes, slicing the robot straight down the middle. Deku runs towards the zero-pointer before jumping in the air slightly and turning into a giant yellow ball, spins in one spot forming a spin dash and rushes right at the zero-pointer. Deku hits it, but he gets flung back and bounces off a wall before playing ping pong between the walls and the zero-pointer. After a few more hits, Deku pierces right through the zero-pointer and continues to roll around, crushing over robots. That's when a magic circle appears on the ground as an army of rock golems, but with molting lava in the joints, decorations and eyebrow, before rolling towards them and knocking them over and then crushing them. That's when a girl wearing a purple and black jacket and a little handbag on her side comes running out of an alleyway, breathing heavy. Deku stands there in his regular form looking at the golems. Deku. Charmcaster, what's going on? Charmcaster. This isn't my doing. I'll explain later, but right now we need to stop that. Deku locks as she points at the giant rock golem with what seems to be a boy in the middle of the stomach. That's when a giant fireball flies off the robot and he's about to hit Charmcaster, but Deku immediately transforms into Heat Blast and absorbing the fireball, Deku immediately shoots precise bullets of fire straight at the golem joints, making it stop and start creaking. Sums the Omnitrix on his chest, turning into Diamond Head and stabbing his arms into the ground, encasing the giant creature in diamond, stopping it from moving. Charmcaster shoots magic rope wrapping around the arms and legs of it, making sure it's completely immobile. Charmcaster. The kid's got way too much mana. I can see a wet, but we need him to be weaker. Deku. On it. Deku slams down the Omnitrix for a third time, transforming into a humanoid creature made of a black stone with purple crystals spread across its body. Deku. Chromosome. Deku immediately runs earth the arm of the giant stone figure and getting right to the kid in the center. Deku put both of his hands on the kid, absorbing the energy from the kid. The goblin begins to glow slightly as it begins to crumble into black rocks with magma pouring out of it. Charmcaster pulls out a black bracelet. We have some inscriptions carved in it and puts it on the kid's wrist to reveal a long white hair with green and purple highlights, diamond-shaped freckles in the eyes, and just below each cheek black lips, black eyeshadow, a white t-shirt with black line going right down the middle, brown baggy cargo pants with two big pockets right against the knees, and red bulky shoes with black on the bottom and a black stripe going down the middle. The kid's eyes slowly open to reveal one purple, the same as Caster's, while the other being emerald green. Charmcaster pulls out some purple dust from her bag and sprinkles it on the kid's face. The kid falls asleep peacefully. Deku stands there in his regular form. Since the Omnitrix timed out, he stands there tapping his foot waiting for answers. Charmcaster. Izuku, meet Jenny. Our daughter. Deku stands there completely confused for a few seconds before we cut to a younger Deku sitting inside of a bar looking like he just had a rubbish day and trying to drink his problems away. Charmcaster and get the exact same as what Deku's having. Deku. I'm not in the mood today. Charmcaster. Charmcaster. Don't worry, Ben Tennyson, I'm not here to fight you today. By the way, I've got you down in dumps today. Deku takes a huge swig of beer before putting the wasp back down. Deku. It's my birthday. Marinette is currently in school. Issei is currently kicking a phoenix. Charmcaster. And your blood? Deku. They don't care anyway. Never have, never will. Hell, I can't even get drunk. Charmcaster looks at Deku, slightly sad. Decorator for the next day, holding his head slightly in pain before seeing Charmcaster in the same bed as him with a small smile on her face. We cut back to present day. Deku swaps himself in the face and drag its hand down it. Deku. My 13th. Charmcaster. Yeah, Deku. Fuck, I would be mad, but I know it's my fault. Half an hour later, Deku sat outside of UA. Charmcaster next to him with Jenny in Charmcaster's arms, still peacefully sleeping. Marinette and Issei walk out and see Deku next to Charmcaster. Marinette is about to close her necklace, but Issei stops her while having a sly smirk on his face. Issei, so you two had a little fling? Marinette, please tell me it isn't twice at. Deku, to be fair, we were still in Japan, meaning it was totally legal and I never got taught about protection, so yeah. Marinette. Issei, meet your 4-year-old niece Jenny Tennyson. Issei, so you're sticking to Tennyson as your name? Deku, actually I changed a little while ago. No, legally my name is Izuku Benjamin Tennyson. It kind of fits with the whole Ben 10 thing. Marinette, you just took the first 3 letters from your middle name and the last name. Oh well, so when was it exactly? Deku, remember my 13th birthday where you have to kick the phoenix's ass and you were dealing with whatever you did and went back in Paris? I kind of went to a bar, we met, a chat, one thing light to the next, and now I have a daughter. Issei, dude, we ain't mad now, we're not even surprised. Remember when that superstar kissed you? Marinette, remember when those twins flashed you back in Hollywood? Deku, now what to tell Raven? Everybody hears a fake cough next to them and they See Raven. It stood there with both of her arms crossed but slightly looking amused. Deku notices Charmcaster's face goes bright red and Deku raises an eyebrows. Deku, you two know each other. Raven, we practically grew up together. Hex taught me some of the tricks I know today and it was before we met and you didn't know till today, so I am letting you off the hook. Deku, so, is this like a freeway or? Deku speaks very hesitantly like working for a minefield. Raven and Charmcaster just shrug before giving Deku a kiss on both cheeks at the same time. Raven, but the next kid you're having is with me, no questions asked. Deku sees one of her eyes turn right as the other turns pink. Lets out a gulp. Deku, understood. They all sit on the bench and watch the sunset before heading out. Deku then stops at the bottom of his house building, his face filled with annoyance. Deku, well, the only place I have is here where my parents live. I'll see if I can sort us out an apartment or something tomorrow. Too late to do anything else. Charmcaster, well, let's just hope they don't ask too many questions, or let's just say something bad is going to be happening. Deku, no, I am not having you going to jail right now, special with a little one. Raven, with the meaning to get a base of operations in Japan for a little while now but never really had a reason to since we mainly operate in Jump City. Deku head back to his apartment. He sees the entire Yagi family congratulate Izumi on getting into UA on with a perfect recommendation test scores. Deku slams the door behind him, letting them know his back. Deku walks into the living room and got lots at the Yagi. They stop and look at Deku before seeing Charmcaster, Jenny and Raven. Inko, who said you can have guests over? All Might, where have you been for the last 2 months? Deku, fuck off. Deku heads to his room followed by Raven. Charmcaster and Jenny enters Deku's room. Deku quickly turns into Diamond Head and touches the wall in a blink of an eye. A thin layer of diamonds cover the entire wall, practically sealing them in with a full 360 degrees. Deku powers down the Omnitrix. Charmcaster, what's that about? Deku, I've done it for years back through my own door lock. Raven, it's more sturdy than the magic circles I have against my room. Deku reaches into the cupboard and pulls out a spare mattress and places it on the floor there. Who is about to lie in it, but Charmcaster places Jenny on it. Deku looks confused before Raven gestures for him to be in the middle between them. Deku wakes up the next morning, the white shining through the window and reflecting everywhere because of the crystals. Deku slowly gets up, walks to the cupboard and pulls out a dusty box and blows the dust off it. He places the box to one side before putting on a white t-shirt, black trousers, his usual red shoes and his white hoodie. A few minutes later Raven wakes up in nothing but a black set of sports bra and panties. She looks at you for a few seconds before casting a spell and forming her usual outfit. She looks at the box placed next to Deku. Decorate a few more minutes as Jenny and Charmcaster wakes up. Charmcaster wearing her clothes like normal. Deku, hey kiddo, Deku says while ruffling Jenny's hair. She lights out a soft giggle before speaking up, her voice childish but with a hint of maturity. Jenny, I'm guessing you're my dad. Deku, yeah, so I haven't been in your life. I didn't know about you till yesterday. Deku talks to Jenny for a little while. Raven and Charmcaster watch the interaction between father and daughter. Deku hands Jenny the box and she looks at it with confusion. Deku, for the birthdays of Mist. Jenny opens the box, slightly intrigued to see an outfit almost resembling hers. The only difference is instead of her red shoes are white football shoes with black stripes and the bottoms being black. It's the classic Ben 10's outfit. Charmcaster, well, that brings back memories. Deku, it's kind of a little promise we had back when we became heroes that our original outfits would go to our kids and so on. Deku quickly turns into Diamond Head and remove the crystals from the room, making it go back to normal. Deku walks out and stands by the door waiting for them to get dressed properly. A few hours later Deku is sat at the dining room table with 4 plates of bacon, eggs and sausage. Deku happily watches his girls eat before he digs in. Deku smiles as finally getting a cooked meal surrounded by people actually cared for him in a very long time. Deku sees the Yagis looking at him, their face full of disdain. Before All Might could say anything, a knock is heard on the front door. He reluctantly heads there to see a tall middle-aged man wearing a t-shirt with the Omnitrix logo on it, plain black pants with a limo packed in front of the driveway with an old man wearing a professional butler suit with thinning gray hair and a small pair of glasses on. I'm here to meet with Izuku Benjamin Tennyson. All Might. Sorry, you have the wrong. Deku stands leaning against the wall where declare view to the door. Deku. I'm here. All Might reluctantly lets in the man, the butler following seconds later carrying 4 small boxes the same size as a toaster. Deku sits at the table, Izumi watching it in confusion and slight disdain. Bruce. Hello, I'm Bruce Wayne. Deku. Genius billionaire playboy, I know. What do you really want? Because you wouldn't travel all this way. Just introduce yourself. Bruce. Of course, straight to business, I like it. Well, during one of your visits to Gotham you actually saved my life and it's been hard to track you down until recently. I want to thank you for back then. Deku. I don't do heroics for the money, fame, or anything else like that. Hell, I didn't even know half of my merch existed. Bruce. Alfred, you mind? Alfred. Of course, Master Wayne. The butler Alfred places down all 4 boxes in front of Deku. Deku raises an eyebrow before Bruce gestures for him to open them. He opens the first one to reveal a set of keys for a Dodge Charger 1969. Decorations in eyebrow while holding up the keys. Bruce. Well, I can't have you just right here around in that, since like I've seen from some clips you don't like to use your abilities unless it's necessary, so a way for you to get around it's a classic. Deku. I know what it is, things over 250 years old. Deku opens the second box, a set of keys Deku Holton in his hand before looking at it confused. Bruce. When you decide to move out your parents' house on those keys are free buildings, one here in Japan. Just go to Wayne's Manor, show the keys to the front lady and she will dress you straight to your new house. All Might. Wayne's Manor, as in the most expensive apartment building in the whole of Japan. Alfred. Of course, Mr. Yagi. See, Mr. Tennyson saved not only Master Wayne's life but 2 of his adopted children as well, so we only made it fitting that he gets 4 rewards fitting of the people he saved. Deku opens the third box before anything else could be said to reveal an exact replica of his outfit, but as soon as Deku touches it he feels that the material is way tougher and more lighter. Alfred. Oh yes, that's one was actually delivered to us by Batman himself. See, you also helped him with the Dark Side incident and help him fix up collateral damage, so he kind of asked us to deliver this to you. Deku. If you see the bats, tell him I said thanks. Deku opens the final box to reveal a set of documents signed by 5 different countries allowing him to do heroics in all of those countries without 0 repercussions, meaning he's already a hero in 5 different countries. Deku. What is this about? Bruce. Well, I've got in contact with some leaders of some countries that I do deals with and they all have agreed to allow you to do heroics in all 5 of those countries without the police ever getting in your way, and if you ever need to get away those papers also grant you complete 100% citizenship in all 5 of those countries, and the last paper in there is actually a signed document from the Justice League preventing any legal actions against you if you ever decide to visit any other country that isn't on your legal documents. Deku. I can't take any of this. Alfred. Please, Mr. Tennyson, it would take a huge weight off the Wayne's shoulders. Deku. Listen, I don't do what I do for the money or fame, do it because it's right. I don't expect anything in a return, never have, never will. Bruce. That's why I'm asking you politely to please take them. Don't think of them as a reward for saving us, think of them as a future investment for myself. Deku. Since you put it that way, fine. That's when Bruce Wayne reaches into his pocket and pulls out a black bank card with a golden W in the middle and puts it down on the table and walks off. Deku picks up the bank card and it looks at it confused for a few seconds before putting it in his pocket. All Might. I'll be taking all of that from you. Before All Might could do anything, that you put all of the stuff in his pockets and heads out. His girls not far behind Deku. Jenny, Raven and Charmcaster head to the beach when they get there. Deku. Hey Jenny, how good is your mana control? Jenny. I can control it perfectly, I just have too much, it kind of sparks out and goes crazy. Deku. Remove your strength and just fire off a basic fireball. Deku transforms into Chromostom and stands there. Jenny hesitantly removes the restraint and puts both of her hands together before firing a small unstable fireball. It triples inside midair before crashing and blowing up in a messy display. Deku. Bingo. Charmcaster. So have you figured it out? Deku. Your body's got way too much mana, we all know that at this point, but your mana reserves are tapping into that every time you wanna fire up a spell, meaning instead of using the exact amount of mana, your body using its reserves as its primary source. Deku snaps off one of the pink crystals on his body before passing it to Jenny. She hesitantly grabbed it and fires off a fireball is more precise, and the flames are a dark blue. They rip through the air with ease before hitting the ground, scorching the sand completely. Deku. Just as I thought. Your unstable magic is because your body is using your reserves, like I said, as a catalyst, and anytime you go to use your regular spells it uses way too much and the excess energy from it combined into it and stabling the magic within it. Chromosomes crystals can absorb energy. Using one as a catalyst, it will absorb the excess energy and you could probably use it as a battery for when you need it. Jenny. Can I try something? Deku takes a step back using his body as a shield and gives her a nod. Jenny holds out both of her hands as 2 magic circles appear, one crimson red and one crystal blue. Jenny starts speaking to incantations at the same time. Charmcaster and Raven immediately create barriers at Deku's request. Both magic circles collide, forming a purple one. She continues to speak to incantations at the same time. A second later, a spiral of fire and water blasts straight up at the speed of sound. Deku gets knocked back and then stands up. Deku notices the sky got dark before looking up and his eyes widen. Superman flies there and land right next to Deku. He looks around confused. Superman. Hey Ben, why is the danger? I heard a loud explosion from Metropolis. Deku continues to look at with a proud expression on his face. Superman slowly lifts his head and sees the giant hole in the atmosphere. After an hour of the hole being in the atmosphere, it closes itself. Deku finally looks down and his eyes meet with Jenny's. Raven, what the hell did you do? Charmcaster, that isn't any spell in my arsenal. That's when two dust clouds I saw behind them as Marinette and Issei climb out of a crater they both created while crash landings. Issei, I felt a giant burst of mana from this location. What was it? Marinette, I heard the explosion from Paris. Deku, go ahead Jenny, explain what that was. Jenny, well, a little while ago I found a book on merging magics, but it requires a whole lot of concentration and the both spells to be incantated at the same time, so I kind of have been testing the principle for a few years, and when I eventually did gate working I've managed to mix create golem and inferno amber, creating the fire columns you saw yesterday, and well, my magic was kind of control so I couldn't control the properly, but since I had a catalyst now and it works fine, I decided to give it a try again, this time mixing waterburst, the strongest water spell, with both my natural flames and inferno tempest. She continues to muttering about the principles behind what she did and how it works. Decor is following along, but everybody else seems confused. After the first 2 minutes she continues muttering about the principles behind her spell for the next 40 minutes, then finally stops looking satisfied, but when she looks at she sees Deku giving her thumbs up, while the rest of them looking like she spoke 80 different languages at once. Issei, any doubts about her being your daughter just run out the window. Just. Marinette, I still don't know what happened. Deku, she punched a hole through the atmosphere. A month later Deku is walking down the halls of UA. He's wearing the uniform's shirt and pants with his usual shoes and the necktie loosely around his neck. When Deku opens the door to the classroom, the chattering goes quiet. Deku stands at the teacher's podium, making the whole class confused. Deku stares them all down. They all get slightly uncomfortable and then they sit down. That kid gives them all a quick nods before sitting. Guys seat. A second later Aizawa opened the classroom door expecting them all to be chatting in that, but when he sees Deku his expression slightly like they then goes back to his usual one. Aizawa, thank Tennyson. This is your first day at UA, so don't make me make this your last. He pulls out 20 blue sports outfits with the UA logo on it. He places them on his desk. Aizawa, listen up, meet me outside, we're testing what you capable of. Deku watches as a brown hair girl with a bobble cut speaker. Ochako, what about orientation? Deku, Marinette and Issei walk right up to the desk, swipe a set of uniform each before walking out the classroom without saying the word. Everybody watches in confusion. Aizawa, hurry up and get to the field. Everybody slightly panics before grabbing their uniforms and heading out of the classroom. 15 minutes later everybody finally makes it out of the changing room and it heads to the yard to see Deku casually doing push-ups, Marinette and Issei practicing some light punches. Aizawa is stood right next to the field with a very annoyed expression. Aizawa, took you all 15 minutes, it took these guys 4 minutes to get dressed and get here. Deku stands and slightly stretches before standing next to the rest of the class, Marinette and Issei standing on both sides of Deku. Aizawa, Tennyson, what's your service softball throw in middle school? Deku, around 400 meters. Deku catches a softball with a blue ring around it. Aizawa, this time use your ability or whatever you got as long as you stay in the circle. Deku walks to the center of the circle and pushes down the Chicatrix dial as a female version of Diamond Head appears wearing a form-fitting black and white dress, her body looking solid but at the same time looking like normal human flesh but blue. Her hair is long and jagged, completely made out of diamonds. She holds her hand out as creating a diamond bath the same size as Deku. Deku, thanks Crystal. Crystal, no problem. Deku presses down the Omnitrix as he turns into a 12-feet humanoid dinosaur, slightly muscular with rocks forming elbow pads and knee guards with small jagged rocks on his shoulders, the diamond bat seeming to be the size of a regular bat to him. Deku closes his eyes for a few seconds as his body grows to 60 feet tall with Crystal touching the bath making it even bigger. Crystal grabs the ball, forms a pitching glove in a hand before throwing it right at Deku full force. Deku's about to swim the bat early but let go mid-swing. It spins in the air before Deku catches it with both hands, whacks the ball as a sonic boom it's heard ripping through the air. The bat completely shatters and Deku just shakes his hand. The Omnitrix flashes red twice before Deku stands there in his normal state. Marinette, not bad, but did you have to show off with the backspin? That's when a beep is heard from Aizawa's device. When he shows it, it shows 20,985 meters. Aizawa, hey, not bad. Gets back in line and watches the rest of his class go. A few standouts him, mainly the girl that can remove gravity, the same girl that's bit spoke up in class, and a few others now and again. That's when Marinette stands in the circle spinning the ball on her finger. She casually frozen it in the air before closing her necklace, catches it, spins and launches it. A crack could be heard as the sound barrier breaks again as it shoots right through the clouds and create a huge circle right through the clouds. A few seconds later Aizawa's device beeps to show infinite. Issei walks up to the circle, grabs the ball and throws the ball straight in the air. The boosted gear appears on Issei's hand before a feminine voice yells boost. As soon as the ball goes right in front of Issei's face, he punches it as the same feminine voice yells explosion. As a miniature explosion half the size of Bakugo sends the ball rocketing through the air and getting just over 10,000 meters. Mina. Sweet, get to use a quirks finally, we got some time to shine, this will be fun. Deku. Fun, fun. Natural disasters, alien invasions, building attacks. Although seem to be fancy, hundreds of people die daily by natural causes. Over 1,000 people die daily because of villain attacks, natural disasters and other stuff. If you want it fun, go and get an office job or go and do stuff that is fun. Cause this is the real deal. You put your life online daily to protect people who can't protect themselves. That's what being the hero's all about, not money, fame or women, understand. Watches as all of 1A stands there, their bodies shaking in slight fear. The only ones not shaking are Izumi, Katsuki and Shoto. They just glare at Deku, annoyance written on their face. Aizawa. Well, he isn't wrong, that's why last place are those who I see as unfit to be heroes will be getting sent home and expelled immediately. Deku. Seems fair enough. Marinette. It's better than finding out now than later. Issei. How if they can't even pass a simple test like this? They'll be dead in 5 minutes on the field. Aizawa gives all three of them a look of respect before getting back into it. For all of the tests, Deku team floors them in the top 3. Deku acing the test, being number 1 through all of them. Marionette coming in second, only using her powers when it's necessary, even though she could easily dominate them all lightning fast. She doesn't have to play all of a cards at once. Issei manages to come in 3rd place through every test by the versatility of magic, his natural brute force. At the end everybody stood there, their faces slightly pale and waiting for rankings. Aizawa. Just be illogical to tell you rankings. A holographic screen of everybody's rankings appear. First Izuku Benjamin Tennyson, 2nd Marinette Dupan Cheng, 3rd Issei Hyodo, 4th Momo Yaoyorozu, 5th Katsuki Bakugo, 6th Shoto Todoroki, 7th Izumi Yagi, 8th Ochako Uraraka, 9th Tenya Iida, 10th Tsuyu Asui, 11th Eijiro Kirishima, 12th Denki Kaminari, 13th Kyoka Jiro, 14th Fumikage Tokiyami, 15th Toru Hagakuri, 16th Rikido Sato, 17th Mezzo Shoji, 18th Minoru Mineta. Deku. Isn't there meant to be 20? Aizawa. Currently the last 2 are stuck and will be here tomorrow. Deku. Okay. Everybody takes the rest of the day to get to know each other and train well. A few of them had to orientation the next day. Everybody is waiting in class for the last 2 students. That's when 2 females walk in, one wearing black t-shirt with a red jacket, black pants with the picture of the Omnitrix on the back of her jacket. Her long messy brown hair contrast with her crimson red eyes on her wrist as a Omnitrix, but that is fake. The girl next to her looks almost the exact same except wears blue instead of red with blue eyes. Deku. Casey, Trish. Casey and Trish both look at Deku before running up and giving him a huge hug. The red one speaks up, her voice happy and cheerful. Casey. Hey, how you been? We've missed you. Deku. New girls have been good. The blue one speaker, her voice tired but with a hint of excitement that is very very. Trish. Yeah, we've been good. Nice to see you again, Uncle Izuku. Everybody looks at them confused. Deku. I met these 2 on a trip through the US. They couldn't exactly control their quirks, so I built a Omnitrix that kind of helps them to control their quirks. That is a small transformation. Quarterback can only allow them to swap between 5 different transformations each that somewhat resemble my transformation. Marinette. Oh yeah, the 2 that kick Vilgax's ass back at Mount Rushmore. Issei. It's good to see you girls again. Iida. Why did they call you uncle? Issei. Well, we're actually kind of friends with their old man, and while they just call this uncle and aunt. Marinette. Even though there's only a year between us, quite frankly we don't give a dance. Aizawa. Well, like Tennyson said, they have a minor transformation quirk and they use a watch to so much regulate their powers, so they're not either transforming into combinations of 2 of them where their abilities are completely random and crazy, and then also to keep an eye on their time limit since they only have a 10-minute one each. Through the day everybody is getting to know the two new students and each other. Deku, Marinette and Issei is sticking to their own little group. Later that day everybody is waiting for their hero cross. That's when the door swings open to reveal All Might in his Silver Age hero costume, explaining that there will be doing heroes versus villains and to meet in Ground Gamma in 20 minutes. Deku heads to the changing room with his suitcase, the rest of the class following his lead. When in the changing room Deku takes his time, Ben 10's outfit from Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, and starts to take off his clothes. As soon as he removes his t-shirt he hears an impressed whistle behind him. He turns around to see Kirishima looking at him with surprised expression. Kirishima, dude, save some muscles for the rest of us. I got to admit your muscles are manly. Deku looked around and notices the boys barely have a solid set of muscles while he is rocking a full-blown six-pack while looking like a twig. Deku points as fun at Issei, who has almost the exact same physique as Deku. All the boys look at their bodies slightly jealous. That's when Deku sees Mineta pulling down a poster that was on the wall to see a tiny hole. Deku's expression goes serious as he taps the floor in a ribbon, making everybody confused, but a second later Mineta gets his eye poked out by a small knife. He holds his eye and screams out in pain. Marinette, thanks Izuku. Deku, get more motor plug, the holes, can't have this happening again. Deku puts on his outfit and immediately heads out, followed by Issei wearing a grey trench coat, black t-shirt and black jeans. He has his boosting gear out with red arm guard going from his wrists straight up to his shoulders resembling dragon arms. A second later Marionette catches up wearing her usual hoodie, but underneath her outfit is a red bodysuit with black polka dots, her usual black earrings, I know, red with 5 blocks dots on it. Deku, not afraid of people finding out you're Ladybug? Marinette, after this we're going to go public other than finding out on Ladybug now then later. Besides, I have so many film game for me back in Paris. They get to the training ground and they all see that they're the first ones there. They could drags his hand down his face before sitting down on a bench. Marinette, so about your daughter? Deku, remember my 13th, we're dealing with personal business and I told you it was alright. I went to a purple try to get drunk, met Sharon Castor there. Since I'm technically in the full-grown adults, we had the one night thing that ended up with Jenny. Issei, dude, you gotta have some kind of forces in the romantic department, because let's go through the list, shall we? There was an alien droid creation fame that was made to perfect the DNA of whatever absorbs it. Absorbed Marinette's, first giving her female appearance. You ended up going on 8 dates with her, but then since she's technically not human and she can't reproduce, she cut it off with you. There is that super starlet kiss you, but what else was there? Alright, there's that alien princess, you know, the forearms one, she has the out for you in the romantic department. There's also that alien planet destroying crazy girl. Alright, there's also that elastic go, never knew where she went, and now you have 2 girls. You've gotta have some kind of lady luck on your side. Deku, could it be Aphrodite? Marinette, I wouldn't be surprised if she was behind it at this point. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if she ended up coming down here and wanting to bang you herself. Issei, don't jinx it. They keep the small talk down to eventually All Might appears in his buff form and it looks at Deku with slight disdain, still mad about Deku showing him up against a villain. A minute later the rest of Wanna comes out, all wearing the hero costumes. Izumi wearing a mix of All Might's Silver Age and Inko's costume. Casey and Trish wearing the exact same as Deku, except their jackets only go to just below the rib cage and it's being in their selective colors. All Might gives his whole speech, Deku ignoring it. All Might, like I said before, today we'll be heroes versus villains in the form of search and destroy. The villains have 5 bombs spread across the city and the heroes have to deactivate them before the time limit, but the villains just have to defend the bomb or incapacitate the heroes. By that I mean wrapping catch a tape around them or knocking them out. If captured, tape is wrapped around you in a full 360 around any part of your body as long as the string touches itself. Wrapped around part of your body, then you'll be eliminated and have to join me in the observant room. The teams will be free hero teams that will be working against each other versus one villain team defending all 5 bombs. Everybody likes out in an excited year except for Deku, Casey, Trish, Marinette and Issei. The teams get sorted and by All Might's slight annoyance Deku team is Deku, Marinette, Casey, Trish and Issei being the villain team. Ravi, rest of the students are into teams of 5. Hero Team 1, Momo Yaoyorozu, Katsuki Bakugo, Shoto Todoroki, Izumi Yagi, Ochako Uraraka. Hero Team 2, Tenya Iida, Tsuyu Asui, Eijiro Kirishima, Denki Kaminari, Kyoka Jiro. Hero Team 3, Fumikage Tokiyami, Toru Hagakuri, Rikido Sato, Mezzo Shoji, Minoru Mineta. All Might, now that the teams are chosen hero teams, you will each splitter with your respected team with a map of the city. Villains, you won't be getting a map, you'll have to rely on pure instinct on the area and you'll have 15 minutes to defend all 5 bombs. Hero teams, you will each be given a code for one of the 5 bombs. Each code is different for each bomb, but each bomb will be having its own separate code. That's why there are 5 bombs and 5 people on each team. All Might heads into the observation room, Decor and his team nodding before running out of there, with the only thing being a locator on their wrist pointing out the direction of each bomb. They all head to the tallest tower, all of them planting all 5 bombs in the same area since All Might never said that moving the bombs wasn't allowed. Deku. Trash, get to advantage point and keep an eye out. You'll be at eyes and ears on the surroundings if they even get close. You like me know. Trish nod before slapping down her Omnitrix as her body transforms into Big Chill except the feminine, and with icicles coming off random parts of the body, Chief goes intangible and goes through the wall, freezing the walls solid. Deku. Casey, don't engage but go around because a little havoc, just be as annoying as possible. Casey. On it. She slaps down her Omnitrix, transforming into a red and black version of Accelerate except more humanoid than reptilian, and her mask like a holographic display. She immediately rushes off, just leaving a dust of wind in the building. Issei. And us. Deku. Replay the waiting game soon as they decide to I don't know come in here and fight his head on without no strategy. We hit them with the 10-piece combo. Deku sits on one of the bottoms, well overhearing his team's movements in a symphony of control and precise strikes. When it gets to the halfway point, an explosion shakes the building from the outside. Deku. Issei, define the bombs. Issei. Got it. Deku slowly walks out at the building to see 2 of the 3 groups standing there ready to fight. Deku. Iida starts going on a hero's rant talking about the right of justice and all that. Tokiyami allows Stock Shadow to come out of his body. Deku runs and punches Iida directly in the face, knocking him out. Jiro attaches her earphone jacks into some speakers on her legs as they powerful shockwave of sound heads towards Deku, slightly cracking the concrete. Deku rolls out the way. Deku dodges her sound attack before standing right next to her and giving her a soft chop on the back of her neck and catches her princess-style. Mineta lights out an angry shout before throwing purple balls from the top of his head towards Deku, with Deku casually sidestepping the attacks before kicking him across a small distance, and he hits his head on a lamppost, knocking him out. Dark Shadow rashes at Deku, aiming to rugby tackle him into a wall. Deku casually jumps and lands on the back of Dark Shadow, slamming it into the ground, slightly dazing it. Deku the path of Dark Shadow to Tokiyami and kick him across the face, knocking him out very easily. Sato pulls out sugar packets and consumes the content inside of it. As soon as he does, his muscles bulker immediately. Sato rushes at Deku with one of his fists pulled back. Deku immediately jumps into the air in midair, lifting his feet up to get slightly higher and then slam down both of his feet on Sato's head as he leans forward for the punch, slamming his face straight into the ground, cracking the concrete. Jiro slowly opens her eyes to see a strong muscular chest. I was soft hands wrap around her back and her legs. She finds herself wanting to speak, but she's still dazed that her voice is not working properly. Deku immediately rushes at Shoji, pulls 3 of his arms back and throws a punch. Deku slightly hops in the air, landing on his arm before axe kicking him in the shoulder, making his body collapse instantaneous. Deku looks at the remaining members of the 2 teams. Kirishima hardens his arms while having his fist clench and it's about to land a punch on Deku, aiming for Deku's chest. Deku jumps over him in the one smooth motion before kicking Kirishima right between the legs. He starts filming at the mouth before hitting the ground face first with his hardening. Stopped. Denki lets out a powerful discharge of electricity that goes all over the place. Deku turns his back, protecting Jiro from the attack. After 5 seconds the electricity stops and Deku turns around to see everybody else unconscious. Deku heads back in to see a blanket covering an unconscious female frame. Deku just raises an eyebrow. Deku. Toru. Issei. She probably snuck past you by removing all of her clothes since technically she's not invisible to me. Issei looks into Deku's arms and sees Jiro just looking at Deku with a slight hint of pink on her cheeks. Issei points at Jiro. Deku looks down and sees her slightly blushing well in his arms. Deku walks up to a pile of crate and sit her down on it before pulling out a haircuts and handcuffing her to one of the crates. Deku. Is over that up, get knocked unconscious. Marinette's voice is heard over the comms in Deku's and Issei's ears. Marinette. The other 2 are down. Deku. Change of plans. Issei. Marinette, retrieve our teammates and apply first aid if necessary. I'll deal with them. Marinette. Understand. Issei. You're the boss. Deku sits down on one of the crates in front of the 5 bombs. Eventually one wall of the building get frozen over before exploded open. Deku watches as Momo and Uraraka run up the stairs and immediately getting a fighting pose as Bakugo, Izumi and Shoto come through the hole in the building. Deku watches the timer slowly count down from 2 minutes. Deku. So how this is going to go? We just wait out the timer or? Deku immediately squats down as a powerful explosion flies just past his head. Deku lands a powerful punch into Bakugo's stomach, making chemist spit out saliva and have the wind knocked out of him. Deku's punch sent him flying across the floor, hitting the pillar right in front of the hole, but he came in through. Izumi is about to use her telekinesis, but Deku throws some sand out of his pocket right into her eyes. When she tries to use her telekinesis it stops working. That's when the dark purple long lines cover her body as green sparks of electricity start shooting off her body. She leaps to Auckland's Deku, becoming a green blur. She's about to punch punch Deku square in the face. Deku shifts his body to its side before slightly leaning back as the fist flies past his face. Deku grabs her hand, bends and slams her against the wall, cracking it. A pillar of ice rush at Deku. The pillar flies straight towards Deku. Before the pillow could hit Deku, a green flash of light goes off, blinding them for a few seconds. Instead of Deku standing there, a humanoid plant person with vines making up the body, with the head being living flames with a black head made of charcoal floating in the fire with green eyes and a slit for the mouth. The ice pillar immediately gets melted as fire comes from their hands of the creature. Deku. Swamp fire. Well, it's not heat blast, but I can't complain. Swamp fire shoots off some seeds out of his hands as it wraps around his Shoto's body, restraining him. Instantly a rubber cannonball gets shot out of a cannon made by Momo, and Deku catches it with one hand before releasing a mix of chemicals resembling knockout gas and knocking Momo and Uraraka out without hurting them. That's when the buzzer goes off, with All Might reluctantly speaking up. All Might. Villain team wins. Bakugo slowly stands up with a feral expression. He pulls off one of his goblets and throws it to Shoto's, catches it and puts it on. They both pull the pin back, reveal a smaller pin sticking out of the side. Before anything could be said, they both pull back the smaller pin as a small spark appears from the gauntlet fire, a huge explosion in a straight line ripping towards Deku. Deku immediately slams down the Omnitrix and Chiketrix. A glow of pink and green envelop the room as Deku stands there as Diamond Head with a female Diamond Head standing right next to him. They both immediately create a huge crystal wall blocking the explosion, not wear out both for their arms being cracked but slowly repairing itself. Deku. Frank's crystal. Crystal. They messed up my arms, now I'm gonna make him pay. Before Crystal could do anything, Marinette flies straight in with her arms out and swams both of them straight into the crystal wall, smashing them right through it unconscious. The next day everybody is sat in class with Bakugo and Todoroki sat in their seat covered in bandages. Aizawa walks in with a very serious expression. Aizawa. We were meant to do this yesterday, but after the incident we have to put it on hold till now. So who's the MVP of that training exercise? Izumi. Obviously it was Katsuki. It was, in fact we would have got to the bombs. Deku. And yet you still lost. Everybody starts murmuring before Marinette stands up with both hands in her trousers pockets. Marinette. You know you're all wrong, it was Izuku. Aizawa. Marinette, please continue. Marinette. Well, as soon as the fight began Izuku knew we were outnumbered, so he used to his advantage. He had all of us move the bombs to one location so it's easier to keep an eye on. Putting over bombs in one place was risky, but at the same time we didn't have to spread our forces too thin like I've got the exercise was planning on doing. Deku. May I continue? Aizawa. I want to hear your point of view on this, so go ahead. Deku stands and walks to the front of the class. Deku. Like Marinette said, we were outnumbered, so I decided to bring all the bombs to one location, and yes, his forces were still spread thin but not as thin as they would have been. I had the two people with power similar to mine on lookout. I had Marinette keeping an eye on the ones I saw most as a threat until my two scouts got took down, so I decided to go with plan B, which meant having Issei, who not only is a good heavy hitter, he also has a stable state of mind 24/7. Toru. I just got one question, how could he see me? Deku. Well, Issei technically has a mix of heat vision, night vision and a few other kinds of visions, including a one that kind of negates invisibility. Toru. Does that mean he see me? Deku. We're getting off topic then. I took down the rest of one. As you all know, in taking a hostage, if this was a real situation, Bakugo Todoroki, not only would you have activated the bombs killing you, and depending on what kind of bombs it were, but by the trial and by the way they were looking, they were high-powered anti-material bombs capable of writing out around 3-4 miles in diameter in less than a second, meaning not only would you all have been dead, but if somehow the bombs didn't go off, I was standing right in front of one of your teammates, meaning you would have been charged with murder of a pro hero, making sure you lose his license and you'd end up in prison for life. Aizawa. You have a sound mind, and yes, all those facts were true, but that you missed that one key detail. You knew barely anything about your opponents but yet planned ahead of time. Deku. About that, I may or may not have asked a friend of mine to do some research and give me everybody's medical records, school files from all your previous schools and your family's medical records. Deku watches as most of their faces go completely pale. After a few minutes everybody snaps out of it. Aizawa. Exactly why do you have all that information on your classmates? Deku reaches into his bag and pulls out 17 folders, each one with one of his classmates' names. Deku. Well, mainly for just see in case one of us gets brainwashed and we need a way to neutralize or anything like that. But also after not even a few days with this class, yeah, they have a bunch of flaws that need very much correcting. In these files are both ways to improve your quirk by training with it, but also a martial art that will suit your fighting styles well, or a weapon that will suit your quirks. And before you ask, who can always rely on quirks or superpowers or anything like that, because if you take away Superman's powers you just well know one. In fact, this happened on several occasions. Aizawa. I want you to pass those out to everybody and I want all of you to improve by Monday. Deku walks down handing everybody their Pacific files. You can walk back up to the front of the class before speaking. Deku. As you can see, each file is particularly made for you with specific diets that will not only improve your quirk training but also help you gain muscle. For a few of you that are quirk reliant, you need to break that habit immediately, because if you were facing someone with Aizawa's quirk you would all be screwed in the matter of minutes because you rely way too much on just brute forcing with quirks. And as you can all see, there is also a detailed weapon description on weapons that should be able to be custom made for you based on your fighting styles that I've seen during our training exercise and go over the footage. Iida. By the way, where is Marinette, Dupan Cheng and Issei Hyodo's files? Marinette. Because we know what true combat looks like, we faced a whole lot. Bakugo. Seriously, no way, you freak nerds have been in so many fights. Deku. I've already showed all of you I have more than enough fighting experience. Marinette actually done some things back in Paris and has helped me with some people now and again. Issei. And I've got an ancient dragon shield inside of me with hundreds of thousands of years worth of fighting experience, and now again I can tap into those memories so I instantly learn those fighting styles. Aizawa. Anyway, pick your class president and vice president. After little while event deciding on the voting, Deku's wins with 9 votes, Momo getting 6 and the rest wrote either voting for Mineta getting 2, Izumi getting 2, Bakugo getting 1. Deku. Looks like I'm the class president and Momo's the vice president. We cut to lunch break where every video is eating. Deku, Marinette and Issei. I sat with Momo, Jiro, Albedo and 2 girls from class 1B named Pony and Kendo. Pony. Hey Izuku. She manages to say in a very broken Japanese. Deku. Speak English if it makes you more comfortable. Pony. Thanks anyway. Like I was saying, are you and Albedo siblings, since you kind of have the same watch and while you almost look the same? Deku. Well, that part is complicated, but to give you the short answer, no, we are not related. Jiro. So you dating anyone? Momo. We literally just met him the other day and you're already asking him if he's got a girlfriend or anything like that. Kendo. I'm with Momo on this one, it's kind of a bit rude. Deku. Don't worry about it. And to answer your question, yes, I do have somebody. Marinette. Try being able to pick up 2 girls and have a kid with one of them. We're not getting even slightly annoyed by the other one. Pony. But aren't you a little young to have a kid? Deku. It's complicated, but I actually had her back on my 13th birthday. Kendo. Hold on, for that to be legal that must mean you're. Deku. Me, Marinette and Issei aquaclose, but we have other powers that aren't exactly quirks. Pony. That's pretty cool. By the way, have you seen the fight between Ben 10 and Dark Side? Kendo. Wait, Ben 10 had another fight. Oh man, I missed it. Pony pulls out her phone and shows the footage of the free new combo against Dark Side. Kendo. Ben 10 so cool, I mean he's been doing heroics for years, some even call him the heroic vigilante. Deku. Well, I've never been called that to my face, so I'm not quite sure myself. Pony, Momo, Jiro and Kendo both look at Deku confused before Deku pauses the image and zooms in on the Omnitrix. They look at it closely for a few seconds before not noticing it. When they look at, they realize Deku's watch looks almost the exact same except with the second dial. Pony stops and looks between it back and forth like an idiot. Pony. You're Ben 10. Jiro. Although that means you've met Batman. Marinette. Well, he's currently dating Raven from the Teen Titans, so there's that. Momo. And the other one? Issei. That would be Charmcaster. Kendo. Hold on, one of your villains. Deku. It's complicated. That's when an alarm starts blaring. All of the students start panicking except for Deku's table. They keep a calm head, but that's when the wave of students pushes. Deku gets pushed against the glass, looking over the entrance to see the news reporters on campus. Deku immediately transforms into Big Chill and flies above the entrance before whistling, getting everyone's attention. Deku. It's just the reporters, so chill out. Okay, get back to your seats and let the pro heroes handle this. Everybody sorts themselves out, most of them being stunned by Ben 10 being in their school, many of them recognizing Big Chill from first glance. That's when Deku faces through the wall and flies straight towards the main entrance and transforms to normal before walking right in front of the news reporters. Deku. You know you trespassing, right? News reporter. We just want an interview with All Might, that's all I'll ask him for. Deku. You have exactly 2 seconds to get off the school premises before I have to take matters into my own hands. News reporter. Well, do you have any words about All Might teaching? Deku. Sure, give you a quick interview. All Might is a rubbish teacher. News reporter. Hold on, you're telling all of us that the #1 hero is a bad teacher. Deku. Yes he is, because last time I checked he hasn't solved one problem without brute forcing it, and he expects all of his students to do the exact same things he does, go into a fight and just overwhelming with brute force. All of the news reporters go quiet before another one speaks as his voice slightly confused. News reporter 2. Hold on, you're telling us to symbol of peace the man who most of the world looks up to, the #1 hero in at least 2 countries, can't teach of high schoolers with powers. Deku. Exactly, if anything he should just quit his teaching job and go back to doing heroics. I mean, crime rate has started to rise since he became a teacher. News reporter. I mean, he ain't wrong, ever since got out there All Might was teaching there has been a slight increase in crime since they know that he's UA now. We cut to Nezu's offers where All Might is sat in his skinny form watching the live conference from right outside of it. He looks slightly shocked. Nezu. The kid isn't wrong, crime has increased by 4% since you've been teaching at UA, and with your time limit it makes it harder to juggle both hero it and teaching, so this is what's going to happen. You're not going to be teaching here at UA anymore, especially after the incidents yesterday. All Might. That wasn't my fault. Nezu. Specifically told you 2-on-2 cavalry battle version, and make sure that those 6 won't place against one another if I do the end of badly for your favorites. So I'm going to have you stay until after the U.S.J. Then after that you will announce on live TV that you'll be returning to heroics and leaving your teacher career behind. We cut back to Deku's is getting annoyed since 10 minutes of this interview has been going on. News reporter. Come on, we have another question for you. Deku. This has been going on for long enough. News reporter. Just on record, can you at least tell us what your future hero name's gonna be? Deku. I already have a hero name. Deku slums down the Omnitrix turning into XLR8. Deku. XLR8. In a blink of an eye all the news reporters are stood outside of the UA gates. Deku turns into a giant blocky creature made of different colored blocks. I see extend his arms building a giant wall where the destroyed gate is. The news reporter that was bugging Deku looks into the camera before speaking. News report. Well, it turns out not only is the symbol of peace currently working at UA, but the #1 vigilante who has done plenty of team-ups with high-ranking heroes in both America and across the world, Ben 10, is currently a student at UA. So what will be Ben 10's next role in Hero Society, and for the vigilante finally get a hero license? Or will he stay as a rogue card and do whatever he wants? Deku walks into the class looking exhausted before he looks at everybody watching the live report. When Deku hears all of his class watching the same live stream, Deku just drags his hand down his face. Marinette. Nice going. Issei. I mean, I've messed up big time, we all know that, but that was just a huge mistake. Bakugo. You're lying, there is no way you're the vigilante Ben 10. Aizawa. Unfortunately that is all true, he is Ben 10 now. Problem child, I do understand if you would like to leave you and continue your vigilante work. Deku. No, I'll stay. Let's just hope none of my villains get the bright idea to come here and cause trouble. Marinette. Where is kinda just off the bat now. Deku. Are you sure? I mean, you have kept it a secret for who knows how long. Marinette. Spots on. Everybody looks at Marinette, who wears her Ladybug uniform. All of the girls' eyes widen since Ladybug is Paris's #1 hero, but it's classed as a vigilante since she doesn't follow hero laws. Issei. Oh, don't forget you're a Kryptonian. Marinette. Dude, I was trying to keep that secret. Aizawa. That's enough, they came here to get away from the heroic side of it and just be normal teenagers until they graduate. So if I even hear one more question about the heroic side of life, you will be immediately expelled. Everybody goes quiet and Deku just gives him a nod of respect. The next day Nezu let the entire school know that they are not allowed to ask any questions or even bug Ben 10. All they will be expelled with a black mark on the students' files, blacklisting them from the hero schools. After that day everything that goes back to normal until a week later that everybody is getting ready for class until Aizawa walks in slightly more annoyed than usual but slightly excited for this one. Aizawa. Listener, but we're heading to an off-campus facility called the USJ where you'll be learning rescue training, so get over your hero costumes or your PE uniform on. I don't really care, be outside in 10 minutes tops. Deku immediately grabs his case, followed by Marinette and Issei. They walk down the hallway towards where they need to go. Deku and Issei quickly getting dressed in just under 2 minutes. Whale walking Marinette uses her super speed to instantly get dressed. They make it outside and stand by the bus in just under 3 minutes. A minute later Aizawa walked out and raises an eyebrow when he sees the 3 of them sat there. Aizawa. How did you? Deku. We learned to get dressed on the move. Marinette's got super speed, so for her it's almost instant, but for us it was kind of a pain to always get dressed then move, so we don't have to get dressed on the move. Cut in both our response time by 1/3 after we perfected it. But since the 3 of us practically wear normal clothes as our hero costumes, there is really no point for us to wear anything else. But I hear across students since they practically blinding as regular clothes. Aizawa, you have to teach me that problem, child. It would make everything so much easier. 4 minutes later everybody comes rushing out and stand there. Deku, enter the bus by seat numbers and pick your own seats. If you're not on in 1 minute, do you have to run there? What are you waiting for? Time began 2 seconds ago. Everybody hurries us and gets on the bus. It's spreading out in small groups. Deku looks at Aizawa and gives him a nod. Aizawa has just gained a lot of respect towards this kid for not wasting even a single second. Deku walks into the bus and sits down close to the front on one of the seats, pointing inward. Marinette and Easter sit across from him. When the bus sets off, they begin to chat now and again before Suyu speak. Suyu, hey Tennyson, I usually say what's on my mind, so can I ask about your situation since I keep hearing Bakugo call you quirkless? Deku, Aizawa, it's okay. And answer your question, I am quirkless, but I have this alien device strapped to my wrist called the Omnitrix that allows me to turn into any alien in its database, giving me the basic knowledge on how the species function, and well, I kind of just do it from there. Jiro, so how long have you been Ben 10? Deku, well, my first actual heroic was actually when I was 4, so around 11 years give or take. Kirishima, hey, so what's your favorite alien out of the whole lot? Marinette, he doesn't play favorites. Each alien has a specific situation it is built for and he uses it for that situation. Kirishima, so you don't even have one that you prefer to use? Deku, not anymore. Kirishima, well, my favorite has to be Diamond Head. He's one of the most manly aliens you've got. Jiro, I prefer Wildmud. Momo, mine has to be NRG. I mean the fact that he is literally made of radiation. Bakugo, hate to say this but Wrath is my favorite. Todoroki, I like Heat Blast and Big Chill. Izumi, never like them or any of his aliens. Uraraka, I like Gravitak. Iida, if I have to choose my favorite it would have to be XLR8. Suyu, I like Rip Joes. Denki, Shock Squatch fan here. Tokiyami, I like Chromiston. Dark Shadow, I like Upgrade. Toru, got to go with one of the original's forearms. Sato, I like Upchuck. Shoji, yeah, I have to go Forearms. He's the closest to me, and well, I kind of felt off about my extra arms until I saw you on the TV. Is he? Mineta, I mean they're all awesome, but if I have to go with one, ditto. Casey, I like Ghost Freak. Trish, way big every day. Everybody looks between Marionette, Issei and Aizawa. Marinette, Blitzwolfer, Grey Matter, Goop, Humungosaur and Alien X. Issei, Heat Blast, Ghost Freak, Cannonbolt, Wildmutt, Spider Monkey, and you can't go wrong with Alien X. Aizawa, if I have to, Armadillo, Lodestar and Overflow. I mean, to be fair, he is a slightly more better version than your other one, but I do understand that one's mainly useful, huge fires, and then you have one for precision. Izumi, okay, what's this Alien X I've heard two people name? Marinette, Issei, simple terms, God. Deku, I've used them in total 3 maybe 4 times. He's too powerful, I rarely use him. And that isn't getting to the forbidden playlist. Aizawa, that's enough questions were there. Everybody gets out and enters the USJ. When they get in they see a bunch of places simulating different kind of rescue operations. Deku walks straight to the edge of the stairs and stops his foot twice. Marinette, doors locked. Issei, magic barriers up. Marinette and Issei immediately stand next to Death You and get in a fighting stance as a purple portal appears in the center as a bunch of smaller ones appear around the USJ, releasing a bunch of villains. That's when 2 red portals appear as armies of knights with a shield with the infinity symbol on the middle. The knights pull out weapons that immediately grow right yellow as all the villains get ready to fight. Deku, you might want to stay back, some of these are our villains. Marinette, so are we going to see that new function you've been working on? Deku, Omnitrix engage armor. Omnitrix, Omni-Armor engaged. A flash of green light as Deku stands there in a huge black and green suit of armor with a giant long sword on his side. That's when another portal appears as Vilgax and an army of robots come out. Vilgax looking slightly different but still recognizable. Deku, what's my back? A few villains gets the bottom of the stairs and I've ready to walk up it to kill some kids. Deku jumps straight down the stairs, missing all of them in midair just to swing his sword as the blade cuts through all 4 villains in a blink of an art. Deku lands and swings his blade down the Forever Night Rush right at Deku Paris Verifax before slicing their guts open. That's when one of the robots that came with Vilgax rush right at Death and Deku swings his blade, cutting it in half instantly. That's when the space starts to the store as a bunch of portals made of pure mana appear as a bunch of golems that coming out of it a man that starts floating out of there holding a huge stick with 2 rings on it. Deku, Issei deal with Hex. Deku backflips over a laser being shot from Marinette slicing through a few of the Forever Knights. Deku continues to slice them apart before clown horns can be heard. Deku stops and turns around to see Zombozo coming out of a clown cast full with zombie clowns that start roaring and rushing after all of the villains, ripping them apart. A green flash happens as Deku quickly dodges as his Omni armor disappears as the Omnitrix flashes red. Deku. Okay, 10 minutes tops, I can have that notes for later. That's when all of the main villains surround Deku while laughing. Vilgax. Higher life this Tennyson, I have brought all of your villains here. Deku looks around confused, counting twice. Deku. You forgot Joe. Zombozo. Hold on Joe, sorry I don't remember you have a villain named Joe. Deku. Joe mama. All of his villains immediately get angry as the Omnitrix flashes green. Deku immediately slams it down, transforming into Homungosaur. Deku. Homungosaur. Deku immediately grabs Zombozo by the lake and does him the same way Hulk does Loki, slamming him into the ground multiple times before throwing him across the USJ. Deku immediately starts getting into a fist fight with Vilgax. My Deku not playing fair. That's when everybody notices that the sky turns red. Everybody looks around in confusion while Marinette hits the ground confused, and Marinette tries to fly or do any of the Kryptonian abilities but nothing works. Deku. A magical red sun so you will be able to use any of your Kryptonian abilities. Marinette. Got it. Spots on. Deku continues to defend himself while robots and Forever Knight begin to rush at him and small metal pipes in Vilgax. His arms stab into his body as his arms buff up to twice the size. Deku grows inside before rushing at him. Deku jumps and slams his arms down, Vilgax catching them before his fist could hit him. Vilgax kicks Deku in the stomach, sending him flying into the stairs and crushing right through them. Deku de-transforms and looks around to see Marinette bloodied and on the brink of death, Issei unconscious with Lilith screaming for him. Deku looks up to see 1A getting swarmed. Vilgax. I finally have you Tennyson, now I am going to take what rightfully belongs to me. Deku. No, it's not over yet. Omnitrix unlock master control code 00000 complete control 0720000. Omnitrix. Master control unlocked. Deku. Omnitrix ultimate heat blast. A red flash happens as where Deku was now stands a giant humanoid pile of rocks and magma, with the rocks taking a dark orange-like glint, with the Omnitrix moving to his left shoulder with 4 little sticks exactly 90 degrees from each other in an X shape sticks out. Deku taps the Chicatrix as a humanoid woman with long hair tied in a ponytail that flows like magma. Her skin is dark with all the bits of red rock spread around her body, with her arms and legs being flowing magma with rocks holding it together. She wears a black bodysuit with white stripes with the Chicatrix call on her chest just below her neck. Deku. Ultimate HEATHBLAST. Scorch, replace that red sun with a yellow one. Scorch. You got it. She immediately flies straight up into the sky right in front of the red sun and begins to burn her body so bright it replaces the red sun, bringing Marinette back to her former strength and her injuries healing instantly. Deku rashes at Vilgax before Bill Cox could do anything. Fireballs form on Deku's shoulders where miniature volcanoes are. They immediately blast towards Vilgax in a stream of molten lava. Vilgax races. Both of his arms trying to block the lava from hitting him. Deku rashes in close and stats hitting him in the face as fast as he can. Every punch late enough small explosion to fire. Marinette immediately rushes at the villains trying to swarm Class 1A and immediately rips them apart. Deku continues to land haymakers as then he fires a fireball straight at an unsuspecting hacks the fireball, knocking his concentration and knocking out the red sun. Scorch immediately hits the ground slightly panting, but it's alright. Scorch create a sword of pure fire before rushing straight at Vilgax and slicing his legs. Vilgax out a scream of pain and anger before Deku immediately ignites his foot, does a backflip using the ignited foot like it rocket and kicking Vilgax straight in the jaw, cracking it and creating a shockwave as Vilgax breaks the sound barrier and gets launched straight out of the USJ and straight past the stratosphere into the deep void of space. Deku turns to the Forever Knight and immediately create a sword of pure fire before swinging it as a shockwave of fire resembling a blade slices through all of them, instantly vaporizing them. Deku leans forward, almost falling over. Scorch catches him as the Trix powers down and flashes red twice before a padlock is shown on the Omnitrix core. Deku passes out, Scorch carrying him.